Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Samad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giriyodhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances.
Hey,
You're welcome, Maharaj. Nice to see you.
Dandavat.
How are you, Maharaj?
I'm still hanging in this body. So yeah, what can
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I will put the verse on the screen so we can start this.
Okay.
Thank you. You can start, Maharaj.
Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Semate Bhakti Seti Swami Itanam Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Asapane Sigora Karuna Sakti Bhakti Seti Swami Itanam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Semate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Itanam Namaste Saraswati Deva Gaura Vani Pacharine Nirvaseti Swami Bhakti Constitution. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasa Tattva Jaya Mudra Nasta Payasva Bhadrisu Nityam Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavaitanasti Vanchakalpatari Becha Kripasundabhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo. So, we're trying to put everything together within the limited time, so the rituals don't take the time. So Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 9. Is that correct?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Uttara Uvacha. Uttara said, Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate Nayam Tvat Abhayam Pashe Yantra Mrityu Paras Param. So I'll take word for word translation. Uttara Uvacha, Uttara said, Pahi Pahi, protect. Mahayogin, the greatest mystic. Deva Deva, the worshipable of the worshipped. Jagatpate, O Lord of the universe. Na, not. Anyam, anyone else. Twat, than you. Abhayam, fearlessness. Pashe, do I see. Yatra, where there is. Mrityu, death. Paras Param, in the world of duality. So translation and purport by His Divine Graces Confounder Charles, Srila Abhacharya Vinda Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Prabhupada. Uttara said, O Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me. Protect me. For there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. Purport. This material world is the world of duality, in contrast with the oneness of the absolute realm. The world of duality is composed of matter and spirit, whereas the absolute world is complete spirit without any tinge of material qualities. In the dual world, everyone is firstly trying to become the master of the world, whereas in the absolute world, the Lord is the absolute Lord, and all others are his absolute servitors. In the world of duality, everyone is envious of all others, and death is inevitable due to the dual existence of matter and spirit. The Lord is the only shelter of fearlessness for the surrendered soul. One cannot save himself from the cruel hands of death in the material world without having surrendered himself at the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay. Come again to now, let's say again to now, so I can ask so many times to smile. See, go up here, man. So, Cheta, I'm an old time. Staff here, Tam Jena Botali. Swayam Rupa. Kadamayam, the dat is Pedantica. So, this is a very salient points are raised here in the text, in the main text itself, by Uttara speaking, the daughter of the princess of Matsya Kingdom, who was given to Abhimanyu as a wife. Her mother was Sudeshna, and the court of Virata, Uttara's home, original home, but that was the place where the Pandavas, when they were in exile, they actually lived in the court of Virata for 1 complete year. So we see the great fortune of Virata. And Uttara is a very close, devotee of the Lord. It's a very dear devotee of the Lord. And we see when people are in trouble, we see who is dear to them. I'll give an example. In Africa, this is very common. You know, you observe in some cases, in some communities, that if someone knocks his or her foot against a stone, this is very common with the women, with the ladies. They knock their toe against a stone. That pain comes with remembering someone they love. Sometimes it's their uncle. Sometimes it's their husband. Sometimes it's their father. So when some pain arises due to the nature of the material world, then we'll be able to know where does this person repose their trust. So we find in the case of Uttara, some danger has arisen. And she resorted to begging, taking shelter of the Lord, begging the Lord for protection. And so this is really very unique, very interesting, because a number of people, when they're in trouble, they take to the guns. Or they resort to some other means. But here Uttara is soliciting, begging for help from the Lord. She's praying to Lord Krishna. And she addressed Lord Krishna here as the Lord of Lords. Lord of Lords means what is the implication of the terminology Lord of Lords? It means there are other lords. And indeed, there are very many lords. There is also the confusion of thinking with some people, and it's very common even within the Indian subcontinent. It's very common you find people who are confused about who is the supreme. And this is not today's business. It's been there even right from the beginning of the cosmic creation. They are even amongst the sages, sometimes they get confused and they want to make some experiment. They want to conduct some experiments, conduct some research to figure out who is the supreme. So from time, there have been many lords, there have been many gods. Then we have one supreme God, one supreme Lord, and that is Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan. Krishna is characterized in the Bhagavatam as Krishnastu Bhagavan Swaya. He is the Lord of Lords. He is the proprietor of the whole world. From him, the spiritual world and the material world actually they are his makings. They are his properties. And so Lord Krishna also mentions in the Gita that from him, all of this material world becomes manifest. Aham sarvasya manta sarvam prabhatati iti manta bhajanti man Buddha Baba. Those who are intelligent, they understand this point. So Uttara Devi, she is considered to be one of those intelligent souls. Because Lord Krishna says that it is one who is intelligent. They recognize the fact that he is the Lord of Lords, that from him everything is emanating, and that he is the surveyor of everything else. He is the enjoyer, Bhuktaram, Jagya, Tapasya. He is the enjoyer of all the sacrifices that we've been endeavoring for since time immemorial. So sometimes we think that the women are unintelligent. But that could be a generalization, because some women are really more intelligent than men. Because not every man, when they are in trouble, that they resort to seek shelter of the Lord. So here is a woman who is superlatively intelligent. And therefore, we have to understand that such people, they're rare. Such people, they're rare on the planet. Those who take cognizance of the fact that the Lord is a be-all and end-all. They are very rare. And so even in our preaching programs, if we think we're going to make the whole world devotees, I think that is an overestimation. But if Krishna wishes, why not? But then the question is, we have just a little, and we can't really manage it. So if Krishna gives us the whole world, where are the managers who are going to manage? Where are those who are going to lead the change? So the point remains that we have to understand that the material world is under the pilotship, the engineer, the ultimate engineer of the material world, and the ultimate re-engineer. You know, in material world there is engineering and re-engineering. But at the bottom line is that Lord Krishna, he is the supreme, who is enabling everything else to go through. Without his sanction, nothing works. And so Uttara, having that cognizance, she resorted to take shelter of the Lord, to pray to the Lord for protection. A protection, when we say protection, there are two aspects to it. A protection of our physical assets, of physical body. But protection also implies that if even the physical body is destroyed, that the living entity, the soul, has the protection of the Lord. Of course, eventually everyone is going to quit this body. So we have to understand that the Lord gives protection. And that protection is sustainable. The protection we get from other entities, I'll take, for instance, I'll give you a typical example. If someone becomes the president of the country, and then he uses his powers in such ways that he has enemies and friends. And so, I mean, the typical example is the case of the US. The Trump became the president, and it's something that it is very admirable. But today he's not the president. And so if you take shelter of such a person, the protection is not sustainable. But the intelligent people, they seek protection from the Supreme Personality of God, the one from whom everything is emanating. And so we have to understand that the worshippers of the Lord, automatically they get protected. And the Lord comes to the rescue. We see also in the case of Draupadi that she was in a desperation. She was in a very critical situation, and she was trying to protect herself. But then eventually she realizes that she can't really help herself. And so ultimately, she gives in and, took shelter of Lord Krishna. And Krishna, did the needful. Krishna protected. So if then we have, so someone could query that if the Lord is protecting his devotees, why are devotees dying from COVID-19? Why are devotees dying from COVID-19? The point is that the Lord knows what to do and what not to allow to happen. If he allows something to happen, it's for a higher purpose. It is difficult for us to be able to figure out with our teeny brains why the Lord does what he does, why he allows certain things to happen. Even the things that we don't like so much, the Lord sometimes allows it to happen. Why? It is inexplicable. It is beyond our reasoning capacity. And so, bearing in mind or considering that this world that we are living in, we see all of the glamour of the material world, but the glamour notwithstanding, this planet is characterized as the planet of death. Everybody will have to pass through that test. Everyone will be tested by death. The unfortunate thing is that so many people don't seem to be seeing what is transparent. Or they are seeing, but it doesn't really create an impact on their consciousness. And so, when we understand that we have the Lord of Lords, as our worshipable Lord, as the Supreme Personality of God, when we understand that we have the Supreme Mystics, the greatest of all mystics, as our worshipable deity, then there is a need to understand that taking shelter of that Supreme Personality of Godhead is worth the while. We're not going to be losers. And so whether it is physical protection or giving shelter to a real personality, a real entity, the soul, after quitting this body. Right now, so many people, it's like there's so many casualties in the material world. It's like a war front. It's like the whole world is at a war front. And the fighting, we are seeing the casualties. Just a few days ago, beloved devotee here in Mayapur, he left his body. So one could query that this is, a person who is very dear to Prabhupada and very dear to Lord Sringadev. Why did the Lord allow this to happen? Yeah, we cannot say. It is beyond our jurisdiction. It's beyond our understanding. And therefore, whatever we find that transpires, we should see it as the higher mercy of the Lord. And so, here we find cases or situations where people are taking shelter of the Lord because they know that the Lord is the ultimate refuge. And like Prabhupada mentions in the purport, he made a very grave statement. Sometimes, when we're talking, we seem to imply that, the materialists, they are envious. Some of the devotees, they are envious. And I don't have envy. But I think that statement is contradicted by Prabhupada in his purport. So this is something interesting, and we need to really get into that. So there are two categories of envy. One is the benign envy, and the other is malicious envy. The benign envy means you see someone who has excelled, and we want to emulate it. We see someone who is a great achiever, who is a high achiever, and we want to also follow on the path. So we want to figure out what are the things that they did to become great achievers, to excel, to become pure, for us at least, to become pure. Or someone is very rich, is very successful in their business. Also, someone is very successful in their preaching. And then we think, let me learn his skills or her skills so that I can also follow on that path and excel. I mean, I know of one young devotee in Poland, and they told me he was a very popular guy in the whole world. As a little child, he became popular in the whole world of ISKCON by his music. But then he went to college, he graduated, but then at some point in time, he was not satisfied. He said he wants to preach like Bhakti theater. So he decided to go back to school. He get nice young doctor, a young PhD, and he's one of the faculties at the GBC Leadership College. And so he saw someone preaching, he's the preaching of someone that has excelled beyond bounds, beyond limits. So he was motivated, he was inspired by that person's achievements. So when you're motivated by someone's accomplishments and you want to follow along that path, that is also a type of envy that is called benign envy. Benign. Now there is another type of envy which basically is malicious. Oh, he has become a great achiever. Why not I? He's become such a great cook for Krishna. Why not I? But if you just say, why not I, and you don't do anything about it to become another great cook, then basically you're not helping yourself. if you look at someone and, okay, the two of you did join at the same time, and now he has become just, he has become such a person, and that, and you feel that, oh, I am greater than him. Why should it be that? That is malicious. But if we are appreciative thinkers of someone's accomplishments, and we are motivated to follow along that path, then that is a good one. And so, Prabhupada, having said that, the whole material world, every one of us, we are envious of others. That is a generalized statement, but this is the substance, this is the truth. This is the absolute reality. And so we have to see how someone else's accomplishments is giving us a motivation to strive harder. Is enabling us to emulate those qualities, those things that they have done, they have achieved, and be able to add that to our service value. So, Prabhupada also mentions in the purport that in this material world, everybody is struggling to become Lord over material nature. Whereas in the spiritual world, everyone is a servitor of the Lord. Absolutely. There is no, and no matter where we are, no matter what we do, that is the end point. We're just going to be a servitor of the Lord. And so we could start now to become genuine servitors of the Lord. And we can't even become genuine servitors of the Lord if we don't practice to serve the devotees of the Lord. And therefore, it is important for us to understand how the duality of the material world affects all of our existence. Duality means that sometimes we have subjective experiences that, gives us some type of motivation. And sometimes we have some hermeneutic experiences that disallow us to become to be inspired and motivated. And so if we examine the situation properly, we understand that these very dualities of the material world, they are meant to actually enable the perpetual incarceration in the material world. So except one becomes involved in devotional service and applies the teachings in their lives, material world, based on the dualistic nature, based on its dualistic nature, could be very challenging. Even sometimes we know that all we have had, but then, to really see that as a practical, on practical basis, is so difficult. And so, Papa mentions in the very last sentence in the purport that one cannot save himself from the cruel hands of death without having surrendered himself at the lotus feet of the Lord. So, it's like Boy George wrote in his lyrics, he says, "Bow down, mister, So some people, they don't want to bow to the Lord. They say you're worshiping somebody. All right. So if we don't worship Krishna, we will still worship Krishna in the form of death. And so what do we want? So if we take this into consideration, we see the great fortune of the devotees of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We have a real library of information culture, spiritual information culture, that should enable us to become genuine servants of the Lord. And whether we like it or not, everyone in this world is serving. You have a wife and family, you have a husband and family and children. You are serving your spouse and your children. You work so hard, but the bottom line is that you're a servant. Even the president of the country professes to serve the nation, serve the members of that, the citizens of the country. Of course, in most cases, that's not true. They just find their way there to be able to siphon the resources to their personal coffers. But that's the difference. That's a different story. But in reality, everyone in this material world, in this dualistic world, is finding ways to serve. So we should not find difficulties. We should not find service as a challenge, because we are already serving. And therefore, the very process of devotional service makes it clear. It's so explicit that the service value or the service attitude inherent in us should be utilized in the service of the Lord and the pure devotee and the spiritual master, service of the devotees. And therefore, we have to see how we are taking advantage of this very momentous situation in the material world, where we see our fellow human beings. At least, majority of people on the planet, they know of someone who has died of COVID. So that really makes it real. But some people, if even they see and they hear, Pashyana Pina Pashyati, it doesn't make any meaning. It does not enable a positive attitude towards self-protection and the protection of others. So that is the unfortunate situation. So we are struggling here in the material world to be master of the world, according to Prabhupada and Prabhupada, and which is true, we're trying to be proprietors. Instead of really identifying ourselves as servants. At best, we're caretakers. And even that caretaking, we are not very efficient in caretaking. So let's accept in principle that service is our value, and we should just try to improve on how to serve in devotional service, to be able to help in recreating and re-engineering the world for a better existence. Because nobody can become the Lord. And the Lord cannot become, the servant of everyone else. He is always the object of service. And because of his powers, he can free us. And if someone has so much of powers, we should not be afraid to take shelter of them. And look at the case of, look at what Krishna did. Even as a child, he lifted Govardhan Hill with his pinky finger. And so, I mean, I'm recollecting a scenario in the Mukta Charita by one of the Goswamis. And in that very narration, now Krishna went to the gopis to solicit, to beg for some pearls. There was a Deepa Malika festival at Govardhan, and he had heard through his parrot messenger, this is what is going on. People are preparing to go for this festival. And so he wanted also to get some pearls to decorate his two cows, his two beloved cows. But when he went to meet the gopis, that they should give him they should give him some pearls. The gopis, they didn't even mind him, you know. They were just so busy, so busy preparing their pearls. So Krishna responded sarcastically. He said, "My dear gopis, so your beauty, your adolescent beauty, has become like a big mountain that is blocking your ears from hearing what I'm saying." So, but then that really just aroused or provoked laughter. They didn't mind him. They didn't mind Krishna. But ultimately, you know, Lalita, you know, just picked all the pearls that, you know, the gopis were preparing, we are stringing, and he showed it to Krishna. he showed it to Krishna. You see all these pearls, they are meant for the use of a queen of a king. And you say we should give you these pearls to decorate your cows? She said, we can't give you anything from here. And so Krishna decided that, you see, Krishna is the Lord of the universe. He's the greatest of all mystics. So he decided, all right, I'll create my own pearls. So he went to meet his mother. He said, Janani, I need pearls to go and cultivate a farm by the Jamuna, a garden by the Jamuna. So the mother tend to ignore him, but he just keep nagging the mother. So the mother said, what's up, my darling? He said, I need pearls because I need the pearls to decorate my cow for the Deepa Malaki festival. But I'm not getting them. So please do something about it. Anyway, the mother, being a very lovely mother, she gave him some pears, but with so much of doubt, because pears don't grow from the ground. Pears come from different sources, mainly from oysters. But, you know, to cut matters short, during this debate, when Krishna actually planted these pears, and within 4 days, he told his mother, within 4 days, you'll see these pears, you know, grow up. And when that really happened, the gopis themselves, they saw what was transpiring. And then they decided they would also want to plant some pears. So they collected all of their pears, the ones they used to decorate their bodies, the ones from their homes and everything else. But when they were trying to venture into this type of agricultural development, one of the gopis warned them. Now you see, this Krishna, you don't remember what he's been doing right from childhood? He lifted Govardhan here with his pinky finger. So just to be able to, give some insight about who Krishna is, to remind him about who Krishna is. But even that, it fell on some of them, it fell on some deaf ears. So the point is that we may even decide this is what we want to do, but what is the motivation? Now, in this case, the gopis, they were wanting to also achieve what Krishna has achieved. There was no malice. So, the very concept of envy, as Prabhupada mentions, is all pervasive. And then we could also take to the benign aspect of it, instead of being malicious against about the progress of other people. We could also be developing a sense of appreciation, and with that sense of appreciative thinking, we will become motivated we'll become inspired and motivated to act in emulation of that very of those type of projects that are people oriented. And so when we understand the nature of this material world, that it is dualistic, you could be very rich today, tomorrow you could become a poor guy like me. And I will never reach any time anyway. But the rich people, they are thinking, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be up there rich for the rest of my life. And I find that even the very rich people, bankruptcy does occur. And so we can't trust the material, we can't trust the material nature. But we can put our faith in Krishna, so that when danger transpires, we will remember to take full shelter of Lord Krishna, like Uttara did, like Draupadi did. And so these are very good examples for us, because they are women, and women, especially even in the modern age, we tend to relegate them to the background. But Krishna again mentions in the Gita that anyone who treads on a path of devotion will be given an opportunity to achieve the goal, which is to attain love of Krishna, whether they're women or their children. And so these very aspects of the women folk being godly oriented, and we find that most of the temples, most of the churches, the women are more than the men. So women, it's so easy for them to become, inclined or aligned with the very idea that there is a superior being, or there is a supreme mystic, or there is the Lord of Lords. The men, it is difficult, because we are, in most cases, we don't have that type of easy conviction. And so being a servitor implies that we're not only serving the Lord, but we are serving the servants of the Lord. And that makes it very easy for people to progress in their spiritual endeavor. In fact, Lord Krishna mentions in the Padma Purana that those who think that they are his devotees, they are not his devotees. Or those who say that they are his devotees, they are not his devotees. But those who are devotees, who are serving the devotees, his devotees, they are the actual devotees. And so our philosophy creates a type of service network that we don't neglect to serve those around us, those in our communities. Because when we begin to think about that, we realize that serving Krishna directly is not so easy, and serving the devotees around us makes a lot of positive difference. Because when the devotees are placed with us, they will be at our back, go to solicit, go to beg the Lord for our spiritual advancement, for the Lord's mercy on us. And therefore, it is important for us to find the good qualities in the devotees around us, instead of finding the bad qualities in the devotees around us. It's so easy, especially we are trained, scholars are trained to find fault in people. I remember one time I think I mentioned, I shared this story. I went to a conference at the University of Ibadan, the first Faculty of Education annual conference. And one of these guys who was the organizer of the conference, a young professor, a young doctor, he came to call up those of us who were young, also of his age. He said, "Hey guys, come over. You go to that room. Such and such professor is presenting his paper. Go and find fault. He thinks he knows too much." Now this is completely at opposite polarity with our devotional culture. We should be finding the good in people, not because if we say we want to find the bad qualities, we will find bad qualities even in our own spiritual master. We will find bad qualities in Krishna. We will Krishna also Krishna. And so the dualistic nature of the material world should be understood, that there are some forces that are acting on us. So we may look like very good guys now, and then the very next moment, we are something that we can create some quarrel. We can create some argument amongst ourselves and even be offensive to each other. And this is the danger of the material world. We get affected by the permutations of the modes of material nature so much that our bearing is not stable. But we should not forget that the Lord is always there for us. And no matter what so-called differences that we may experience with each other or with other people, the common denominator is that the Lord is the protector of everyone. And if we take shelter of the Lord, protection is rest assured. Yes, any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Maharaj. Our first question is coming from Kusha Prabhu. Kusha Prabhu, please go ahead and unmute.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Krishna?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Kusha Das.
Yes, Maharaj.
From Krishna?
From Kusha, King Kusha.
Huh?
Kusha
Hare
Das.
Krishna, Maharaj.
Kusha, okay.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna, thank you for last class. My question is, when a devotee feels threatened by a fellow devotee, maybe you preach more than me, you make more devotees more than me, and I feel threatened. Is that a sign of enviousness of that devotee?
That is malicious. That's malicious envy. A threat is a criminal offense. No matter what someone does, we should not threat someone. If we threat someone, they may resort to calling the cops or the police, and you're going in for jail. That is not affordability principles. A threat is a criminal offense.
No, I mean, if I don't want a devotee around because I feel he's dominating me or he's intimidating me by his preaching, is it a sign that I am envious of that devotee? Because we say among devotees, sometimes we don't know that we are envious of a devotee because he's better than us in preaching, in everything. So we feel ourselves being threatened by his presence. So is that a sign of enviousness?
Oh, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
That's not good, because our faces are not the same. Our priority sequence varies, and our commission on the planet, the things we have to do on the planet, despite the fact that we belong to one organization or we belong to one institution, are basically different. And so we have to understand the variegatedness of the devotional culture so that we feel free. And that's why I was mentioning about appreciative thinking. If someone is doing better than us, we should be appreciative, because it is all the same mission, Prabhupada's mission. So we should not feel threatened that this person, he does better, he preaches better than me, or he's more intelligent than me, or he has more money than me, or he has more followers than me, or he has more mentees than me, or whatever. We should understand that we have one purpose. The purpose is to spread Krishna consciousness to all and sundry. And we have come to the movement with different talents and skills. The issue is how to effectively manage those talents and skills that our devotees come to the movement. We cannot be the same. We cannot be the same. We chanted the same Maha Mantra. We may even have the same spiritual master. We may even live the same temple. Our faces are not the same. Even the faces of Jananivas and Pankaj, they are not exactly the same. There's a difference. And so we should not think that everybody is going to have the same talent and skill sets. We should be motivating each other to do their best so that Srila Prabhupada will be glorified. So I think that we should see, we are not in an industrial sector where someone has that type of negative feeling about someone with higher, with greater talents is going to overshadow them and whatever. No, I mean, we can always do something. You can always do something I don't. You can always do something I cannot do. Okay? So if I find that you are doing something that I'm not able to do, I should compliment. I should be appreciated. Whatever we are doing, that is for our own upliftment. And it's not what we are doing that is the matter. It's the quality of what we are doing that Krishna takes cognizance of. So we should learn to be appreciative thinkers, and this negative value, this vice will thin into the air. It's not a good system. It's not a good vice. No vice is really good, but Yeah, we should not deflect.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Yeah.
There is another question from George.
Yes.
I have a question. Can you hear me, Maharaj?
Yeah. Who is speaking?
Salika Das.
Okay. Salika Dev.
Dandavad Pranam, Maharaj.
Dandavad.
The position of Uttara, the position of Drupadi, they are very highly elevated, which is amiable, which is enviable, which one should aspire to be. But the reality is that not everybody is able to come to that platform, especially in our age.
Sure.
So therefore, the general advice is that one should at least have faith in the spiritual master, in the devotees. One should have faith at least in the devotees of the Lord, because one does not have that level of higher ability to understand and have absolute faith in Krishna. So one should develop faith in the devotees. But in a case whereby you are not able to even deduce who is a devotee, you cannot identify who is actually a devotee because you are not that highly elevated. This is a general thing. So my question then is there hopelessness in the path of devotion?
Oh, no, there is no hopelessness. Krishna basically wants everyone to come to him ultimately. And if even we do not recognize, we are not able to recognize who is a devotee, and we should not, of course, think that we are devotees. I am not a devotee. I, for one, I know I am not a devotee. And so I would love to appreciate what each and every one does. And at the same time, I love to give an earnest advice to people who have come around and they are having some difficulty in having a focus on in terms of who to have faith in. In fact, when we begin our devotional life, the very person who inspires us to even, or the person who even gives us beads, the person who inspires us to chant Hare Krishna, the person who motivates us to chant Hare Krishna, the person who taught us how to chant Hare Krishna, the person that we always sit to be able to listen to their class. We should try to develop some type of faith in those persons after studying them meticulously. I'm saying faith in terms of not blind faith. We should understand that everyone is in our community, is around us for a purpose. Everyone, we can always learn some type of good thing from anyone. Even a child, if it's someone who just came to the movement, we can learn something from that person. And so, no one is hopeless. There is no question of hopelessness in Krishna consciousness, because by chanting Hare Krishna, the mirror of the heart is becoming cleansed. And gradually, Krishna takes control and allows us to be able to pave through the challenges that we may be facing, even in terms of making devotional decisions. So when we are chanting the holy names of the Lord, when we are doing some service, there's a cleansing that is going on. And so when we continue with that process, Lord Krishna is there based on our sincerity. Lord Krishna in the heart. Ishvara Sarva Bhutana. Read this, say Arjuna Tistati. And then further on in 15:15, Lord Krishna says, he is the source, is there in the heart, and at the same time is the source of knowledge, forgetfulness, and work. So if we have that even little faith to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna inspires us from within to take proper decisions. Krishna inspires us from within to be able to align with particular devotees that will help us in our temples. In fact, when we come to the temple, the first thing is the temple president, that temple president or temple commander or any devotee who inspires us that will help to guide us. Of what was your terminology?
Hopelessness.
What was?
I said whether there is hopelessness.
Endowed than others based on their previous cultivation or previous existence, but everyone has the mercy of Krishna at his beacon call. If we take one step towards Krishna, Krishna takes several steps to us. So Krishna wants to see how even the little Okay, so I was saying that whatever little efforts we put in our devotional service, Krishna takes cognizance of that. There is no question of hopelessness. Yeah. Even a little child, just by taking prasadam, they're making progress in devotional service. That is the beauty of devotional service. There is no loss or diminution. Everything will keep increasing. Yes, Sarika, was I able to respond to your question properly?
Yes, Mother. Thank you very much for the answer.
Any other comments? Before I forget, you see, I wanted to share some screen with you, but the time wouldn't permit. I was having in mind, just on the 17th. You remember the last time I came on your platform, I mentioned how the Russians devotees, some research scientists, they were organizing a conference, and so that came to pass, and that was the first virtual Russian conference on science. So what I present, actually I made two presentations. If those of you who like to see how to preach to professors, those who are having that type of inkling, you can reach out to me afterwards, because I wanted to really share the PowerPoint. It's pretty.
Marai, please share it now. We have time.
Yeah, there is no limitation of time here.
You have Maharaj, you are now host. Please share the PowerPoint.
Just a minute.
They are giving you host rights, so you can share.
Let me see. Oh, see, I'm using another device. I'm sorry. But Kusa, I'm gonna send it to you. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna send it to you. So okay, here was the deal. So I did a presentation. And I called it understanding embryology in promoting peace leadership. And the whole thing was from the Bhagavatam. The whole thing was from the Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 31, where Kapila was instructing on the movement of the jiva, or of the living entity, in the womb. So I tag that embryology, and that is, of course, embryology, which is the branch of science that deals with the development of the embryo up till the point of being given birth. And so my point is, we have such powerful information in our literature, but we don't know how to use it. And when I made the presentation, these professors, they were asking such important questions. And I was talking about extermination of the problem that I raised was that millions and millions, about several millions of embryos are being exterminated every year. And so the question that I raised was that the extermination of embryos generates a type of cumulative negative wave that later falls on society in the form of disturbances, including wars. I think I was trying to get a direct reference from Prabhupada. I was seeking some guidance from my mentor Kesava, and we couldn't really get a direct quote, but it was so impactful that after giving the scientific undertones of embryo extermination and how even Isaac Newton, some of those of you who did physics, you know about Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton was a physicist, and at the same time he also had a degree in theology. So he was a scientist and at the same time a theologian. So Isaac Newton's third or second law of motion stipulates that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So how I put that to be able to back up the argument that the killing of the unborn children, which even the United States federal government subscribed to the idea that is very much repercussionary, because the embryo is a Homo sapien. And so I use the what is the name? Isaac Newton's statement, and I put it like a modern stuff. I said, neo-Newtonians have believed that, or accept in principle that every action has its opposite and equal reaction. So what about the killing of the unborn babies? And one of the questions that someone raised during the question and answers was that, we're doing that to be able to reduce the overpopulation of the planet. I said, oh, that's good for you. Now, if killing of people is going to help in reducing the population of the world, why don't you start killing also you're 5 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old? Why the helpless unborn in the womb? Because she's not out there to complain or to call the police. And they were laughing, So bottom line is that after the whole conference, the main organizer, she's a professor of economics. She wrote to me saying that your presentations were very impressive, we are very enlivening. So because I took it like I didn't really take anything seriously, you know, like generally what professors do when they're making the presentations and being forceful. So I was talking and smiling and, you know, allowing the whole energy to flow naturally. And so the bottom line is that they are very impressive. But then the reason why I'm raising this is that this is something that is right there in the Bhagavatam. Now it's now based on utility is the principle. What Prabhupada has always mentioned about utility. So yes, the stuff is there in our books, but we also need to have, you know, some type of training programs that could allow us, that could enable us. For me, you know, I see opportunities to preach from Prabhupada's books. I mean, practically anywhere in the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, all this stuff. So that Kapila Dev's instruction, or that chapter 31, is another breakthrough with the academic preaching program, because somebody or other, this idea of embryology, the science of the development of the embryos, and we used it, and it became very much fruitful. And they may have to organize some other conferences in the upcoming years, but this is their first virtual conference on science. And the emphasis right from the beginning, the organizers wanted that, you know, everything should be based on, or how should we have fundamental roots in the Bhagavatam. And in that way, because Russia is not free like other countries. See, in America, one devotee had presented even his PhD dissertation in the School of Social Work in 1999 or something like that, on, you know, the chanting, you know, the effect of chanting Hare Krishna on depression and other things. But, you know, Russia, you can't talk like that. The society is a closed society. So the organizers, they told us, you know, that, you know, don't even directly quote Prabhupada, don't even directly, you know, say something about Krishna. So it was a really technical stuff, but it was so nice. And the reason why I'm sharing is that it was just a direct information culture from the Bhagavatam, chapter 31, where Lord Kapila was instructing about the movement of the entity, the development of the embryo, and how those developments influence the prayers of the jiva before even they give birth and all this stuff. So, Kusa, I'll send that PowerPoint to you. I made another presentation that was on understanding sonic therapeutic intervention in preventing financial fraud. Again, that. I beg your pardon?
So that's wonderful. That I'm raising my hand for a copy also.
Okay. Yeah, it's really sonic therapeutic intervention. These are technologies that are generated based on the type of preaching that we have to deal with in America, because in most cases, I'm in the management science, and in most cases, you meet people who tell you they don't believe in God. But the same information culture, if you tell them in their own language, then they say, hey, tell me more. So I had published some work with the Journal of Financial Crime in London, and I used the sonic therapeutic intervention as one of the frameworks. So what basically happens is that it is not something that one has to struggle about, but it's already been established in the academic management domain that this is the framework. And so initial difficulties were there, but you know, works have been published, and once they're published, they become quotable authorities. Yeah. So those of you who are interested in preaching in the academics, we could also figure out ways of in the future. Now, right now, my body is not in a good shape. I don't know how many more years I have to live. But for those of you who are interested in preaching, presenting works at academic conferences, there are quite a number of intricate things that people do, and even your introduction has introduction. The paper is divided into several sections: introduction, or background of the study, problem statement, purpose of the study, what do you call it, conceptual framework, or theoretical framework. So there are a lot of complexities, but when you have to when someone takes you through all of this, you know the characteristics of each section and what you have to do to be able to, get things beefed up. But it's not basically going to be something that everyone is going to have to know. But there are some people who are interested in doing this type of preaching in the future. I think that we should have a setting where we could gradually introduce ideas on how to make presentations to professors in universities.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. I think on this, I will discuss with Krishna Prabhu, and probably I think we have Bhakti Sastri classes going on, and we can create some platform whereby devotees who are interested in this can have an interface with you on a scheduled time and date based on your timing, and then we can get some association and sharing from you on this topic.
All right.
I'll work that out with Krishna Prabhu.
All right.
So, but for this class, I have a next question from Keshav Prabhu. Keshav Prabhu has been urging to ask a question. So, and it's
all right, so, ask a question. Ask a question. Feel free to ask a question.
It's not a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yes. Go ahead.
All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Am I coming through okay? The volume okay?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to apologize. I think the phone is down to about 3 or 4%, and there's no electricity in the building, so the phone could finish any time. Maharaj, I was just online yesterday, and I found a podcast by this based devotee, I'm sure you know, Nama Rasa Prabhu, and he's always interviewing different devotees on different projects. And when I tuned in last night, he was speaking with what's her name, Ramburu Dasi, who at one point was married to the German Prabhupada disciple Prithu Prabhu. And I had heard about it, but I didn't really realize to what degree she had gone into this. But she's done a lot of active work in the field of chaplaincy. Meeting the families of the bereaved or people who are in the process of leaving their body, generally in hospital environments. And it just sounded so good what he was saying. And when I hear you speaking, when I understand a little bit your mood and your spirit, I just think to myself, how nice it would be if you could divide your time between preaching in the academic world and also helping our community devotees, because you have a very broad, expansive understanding of things. And you were talking about all of us have something we can contribute to Prabhupada's mission. And to be honest with you, I just can't help but feel how much of an immense contribution you could make to our society if you were able to spend time as a mentor to our younger generation. That's all I wanted to say, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I'm already doing that because you see, academic preaching or academic development, it's not a field for everybody. It's a field where some few people who have the eagerness and the desperation, they have attitude of being in a position to learn. Yet those people who are in a position to learn will definitely be successful in that. And I have motivated just too many devotees. I've been all over the world in terms of acquiring, higher skills to be able to integrate themselves into the greater the greater community or greater global community. And so I have never been. See, I have some of my mentees who are already doing this. So the bottom line is that I've been very much objective about it, and it is not something. It's not something that you're going to force it on anybody. Someone is interested, and they have the eagerness to be able to prosecute it. Yeah, then it sounds good. So I'm not the type who never wanted to share. And I'm even Srivas, I've been in touch with Srivas in a number of my last year, previous year publications. I always share with him, and even whatever that is transparent. Even when I got appointed into this GBC Leadership College as a faculty, I mean, Srivas knew about that. So it is again not something that I'm not someone who likes to play my gong because I don't know anything, and whatever I need to do or I have to do is by the mercy of the devotees and about the spiritual master and the power. So yeah, I've been very much open, except that right now I'm in a very terrific situation. So in terms of my health, but ordinarily speaking, I'm an open book of objectivity. I've been very much eager to motivate people and to get them, but I'm not ready to force anyone because it's not something that you can force. They say you can force a cow to the water, you cannot force it to drink. The bottom line is that those who have anyone in a movement can create a positive change. Anyone. It's just that we need to appreciate the people around us, and with the little they have, they'll be able to share to members of our community in a way that we can benefit from that. So yeah, Keshav, it's a good point you raised, but I'm already doing that.
Okay, thank you very much, Maharaj. We have two other questions.
Okay.
One is the next question is coming from George Amega. George Amega, unmute yourself and ask your question.
George what?
George Amega.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello. I beg to offer my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, Maharaj. Yeah. You are asking us to please devotees, which are much appreciated. But Maharaj, I would like to know, to please human being is very difficult, but for devotees, there is.
For what?
Yeah, your network is not stable, George.
Whereby he was not be able to.
His network is not.
Is it okay now?
No, your voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking, George.
Okay. So is it okay now?
Okay, go ahead now.
Oh. He's calling us to please Krishna, but since we cannot see him and please him, he's asking us to please devotees. And I wanted to know what are the symptoms for someone to know that he's been able to please a fellow devotee. What are the symptoms for one to know? That is what I wanted to know. Yeah.
Oh,
thank you very much. Okay.
All right. Thank you, George. The operator, you should have allowed me to see the face of George. If someone is asking a question, then he should pop in on the screen.
Okay, I think because of his neck. George, can you on your?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Next time. So the symptom I have several years ago when I was in Africa, when I was in Nigeria, we had just one guru who used to come there, and one of his disciples, a lady, she said, Maharaj, you know, you're not here all the time, but I want to really please you, you know. So how can I please you? So his guru said, do you have a president in this temple? She said, yes. He said, go to that president, ask for service, and when he's pleased with your service, you should know that I'm automatically pleased with you. So we have come into this movement. We should be coming with the attitude of helping out. But then the question that George raised is very nice. How do we know that, you know, someone is pleased with my service? Yes, you will know when someone is pleased with your service when it tells you, Prabhu, thank you very much for this wonderful service. You are doing great. I'm very happy with this your service. Yes. Otherwise, we could also ask the person, are you happy with this? Are you happy with my service to you? There's no harm in asking that. If the person does not, if the person has not told you, then you know you can also ask. Because people ask me, you know, people, I know some people they ask me all the time. So I said, yes, I'm very pleased with you. So even my spiritual master, Bhakti Swami, or our spiritual master, Bhakti Swami, he's very fond of that. Sometimes you are thinking that, oh, what am I doing now? Is he pleased with me? And then the next moment you get a mail, you get a letter from the mail, and he said, no, I mean, you know, just go on with your service, I'm pleased with you. You have not even inquired from him, but internally you are contemplating and, you know, blaming yourself whether he's pleased with you or not. So our society, our community is a community that is based on communication. If we are doubtful about what is going on, we should communicate. We should ask the person that we are serving whether they are pleased, and if not, what are the best ways to please them. That's how it works, George. Any other comments?
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Our next question is coming from Sir Dave. Sir Dave, Prabhu, please.
Sir Dave is there?
Yes, Sir Dave is here on the platform.
I see. I thought it's working.
He's at work. Yes.
Sir Dave, he's so much addicted. He's so much addicted to lectures, you know.
Very good one.
Because it's 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock there, and then you have to be. That's good. Yes, Sir Dave, what is your question?
Yeah. Well, Maharaj, thank you very much for the class. My question has to do with protection. I asked Bhakti same question yesterday. I had a followed up, but I was busy at work. I couldn't follow up. So I want to follow up with you. That is, I believe that when we as living entities pray to Krishna for protection, it oftentimes means that we're praying for protection to our material needs.
Your network is fluctuating. We can hear you clearly.
Dave, your network is very bad.
Maybe you can off the video so that you can just speak.
Sahadev, ask your question.
Sahadev Prabhu, I think he's having issues with the question. But meanwhile, while we wait for Sahadev,
okay.
I have another question from Kavi Kenapur from Lagos, from Abuja, Nigeria.
He's not. Why he cannot ask himself?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay.
Salika Babu, why do you have to mention the location? You have not been mentioning for others.
Because this one is special.
So Maharaj, thank you very much for your lecture, Maharaj. My question is related to the class. When you were speaking about service, you mentioned about how it's because we're already serving as a husband to wife or as a employee to the employer, or in various situations of life, we are always serving, that it should not be difficult for us to serve Krishna. So then I was thinking, when you were saying this, I was thinking in my mind that, what about in this situation where, even though you are very eager to serve in the beginning, like in our setting of devotional service, and in the long run, you see that somehow or the other, the enthusiasm to serve is gone, even though you know that that nature of service is there, but now you've even completely lost like kind of enthusiasm to serve, even though you know that Krishna is the supreme personality of God, but you don't want to serve in the society because you know that situation or circumstances is not pleasurable or comfortable, or the word I will use for that kind of, for you to freely serve in the mood in which you want to serve. So I don't know whether you have any more explanation you can give on that, about natural nature of serving, but sometimes devotees, because of the situation and the circumstances, they lost interest in serving. So how can we develop that interest back, or how can we talk about that?
Yeah, enthusiasm. Thank you. Thank you very much. The enthusiasm that we have initially might fade away at some point in time, but we have to, Bhakti Swami Maharaj says, we have to rejoin. In the beginning, we were very much enthusiastic. We want to do things in ways that, Krishna will just come and then take over things himself. But then with time, our enthusiasm wanes. So I'll give you an example. Even in the academics, enthusiasm wanes. But you know how the enthusiasm is reignited? You go to conferences. When you go to conferences for presentation, present your research works, and then you see other people, how desperate, how eager, how enthusiastic they are. The enthusiasm is something contagious. So when you come back, you are just fired up, trying to develop new research works here and there to be able to, go for further presentations. So in a similar way, in our devotional life, if we are associating with people who are enthused, who are enthused, enthusiasm is contagious. If we have that type of association, we have association with people who would ask you, so what type of service you're doing? How are you feeling about your service? People who are probing into your devotional development. People, devotees, who probe into your devotional development. Then you will be able to have a sense of what is missing in your life and clinch onto the feast, to the feet of such people, so that they could help you to reignite your enthusiasm. And one or two ways to do that is that You keep in touch with such people. They might not even be within your environment. But see, I have people that I have people that if I don't talk to them, and then at some point in time, they will, because they know I'm busy, okay? They know that I'm busy, so they cannot disturb me, but then they presume that I should be on my own to be able to just call them. So these are some of my mentees. And so I remember a recent development. So this person is overwhelmed by academic work. Person is doing a doctorate in law. And then she just newly got married, and she got a new job, which is demanding so much. And then I think I sent a message for her to do something, because she's also acting as one of my personal assistants in New York. And so when I sent a message to her, but it's only me who can understand. She wrote back sarcastically, you know, but very, very covered. So I said, so I didn't see anything. And then she complained about she's completely
overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. Some things about, you know, being overwhelmed. But I know, you know, the doctoral studies is not. You can just be frustrated if you don't have someone by you who has to be there to motivate you. So I sent a message back. I didn't ask anything. I didn't say I'm sorry for the problem you're facing and all this. No, I didn't just say anything. I said I wrote back to say, when can I call you? When will you be free? And so she wrote back to give me a particular date. It's only on weekends. Only on weekends that, you know, on Saturdays, on Sundays that she's free. So then we scheduled a talk. And at the end of the day, because she was also telling me some things about her husband. So, but then at the end of the day, she didn't complain of anything else. You know what? When we are feeling low in our energies, we need someone who will be able to come by our way to motivate us. And remember also one of the boys who works with me. And when it's low in energy, if you don't take time, you will say that he's offensive. But no, you are the cause. I know I'm the cause. I'm not being available for him. So what traditionally happens is that he gets overwhelmed with so much of work. And you may say, well, he's reading Bhagavatam, he's reading this, but that is not the same thing with associating with somebody who cares for you. And so I've seen in my own practical dealings with some devotees, and even with some senior devotees. I remember one of my friends is a proper disciple. He's from San Diego. And each time we meet, it's like two little children. It's an older folk, but it's like two little children. So we should cultivate relationships. That's my point. We should cultivate good relationships, so that it's not somebody who will only call you when they need some money from you or they need something from you. We should cultivate genuine relationship, and so that the person is there to ask you your progress. You are accountable to somebody. No, it may not necessarily be your guru, but you're accountable to somebody. That you are also deriving some sustainable motivation and enthusiasm from that type of relationship. It might be your younger, it might be even your junior. Because I have some proper disciples who relate with me also like that. Some are not in America, some are even in Canada. But the point is that when you have someone who will reignite your enthusiasm, you have to take that relationship really, really very strong. But in most cases, what we find is that we don't call anybody. We feel that we are octet electrons, Octet electrons are electrons that do not need, any sharing with another electron, they are octet. But we are not octet electrons. We need good relationships to be able to motivate each other, to inspire each other. I mean, just by telling somebody about what you have done could motivate them. Just by telling somebody, was it today or so, the boy who came, he was also helping in Pankaj Jagri's situation before he passed away. So this boy, he asked me some questions about sadhana, and then I explained to him. So in general, we sometimes keep the people who need help at the other extreme. But they shouldn't be like that. Those people who need help should also be given some time. It might be even 1 second, but it should be quality. The people should have a sense of worth. They should feel that, yes, I am worth something. Otherwise, if we simply want to engage people in devotional service and we don't really understand what challenges they are passing through, it is difficult for people to sustain their enthusiasm. At some point in time, they become overwhelmed. People are working. Some people are in America, some people are even doing 2 or 3 jobs. And so where is the time to have a sustained enthusiasm, except we create consolidated and very strong relationships to be able to look out for each other and give some quality association. That helps to rebuild or to sustain the enthusiasm. Or if even the enthusiasm fades, we hear about powerful things that the other person has done, wonderful things that other devotees have done, and we get motivated. So bottom line, good, strong interpersonal relationships in our devotional service will help to sustain our enthusiasm.
Wow. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
For the answer to this question. It's such a wonderful one. Strong relationship. Thank you. I think on this note, we want to appreciate you so much for this wonderful association and the presentations on the platform today. I do not see any hands up for questions.
Why hands? Sanika, why hands again?
No, there's no more hands again. We spent 101 minutes on this class. So I think at this point, we want to appreciate and thank you very much, Maharaj. I'll request all of the devotees to please kindly unmute themselves. Let us appreciate Maharaj and allow him to attend to other business. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
All right, thank you very much, everyone, for allowing me to do this little service.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
I love all of you and I miss all of you.
Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Bo, Hare Krishna.
Hare Rama, Hare